Welcome to the Morale Booster Network, a platform for entrepreneurs, career professionals, leaders, and the general public to give back to the society through coaching and mentoring. I remain your host, Dr. John Ugulu. I am an author, speaker, and strategist. I always say experience is the best teacher. You can stream or download this podcast from YouTube, Spotify, iHeartRadio, Apple Music, Google Podcast, Player FM, and Pandora. Sit back, relax, and enjoy the show. Hello, Morale Boosters. Good afternoon from Georgia. Good morning, good evening, wherever you are. If you are just joining us for the very first time, you're welcome. Please remember to like, leave a comment, and share this broadcast. And here's the reason why. It's because you might just be saving the life of that one person who has been waiting for a lifetime to hear the message that we will be sharing today. So welcome once again. And today I am thrilled to welcome a special guest all the way from Alabama. Her name is Shakea Miller. Now, Shakea is a visionary leader. She is an educator. She's an entrepreneur as well, who turned her trials into triumphs. You know, she was once a teen mom and a college dropout. She defied the odds to become the founder and dean of One-on-One Technical and Theological College, which happens to be the first degree granting institution in Alabama established by an African American woman. Her college has served thousands of students across all 50 states. She has received 2 Presidential Lifetime Achievement Awards, 3 honorary doctorate degrees, and also earned her associate and bachelor's degree in 2024 and 2025. Guess what? She has now been accepted into law school in 2020. She was accepted last year to law school, and she continues to break generational barriers while inspiring others through faith, education, and love. Ladies and gentlemen, without any further ado, please join me as I welcome no other person but the one and only Shakea Miller. Shakea, thank you so much for joining me on this program.
You're welcome. Thank you for having me.
Great. You have a lot going on, and I must commend you for that. I always tell people, when we are able to align with our vision, whatever we do will never be called work anymore, because it's going to be fun. It's going to be just living a life of purpose. Is that correct?
Correct. That is so right.
Awesome. Thank you once again for joining us. And how's the weather over there?
It's sunny. It's pretty humid.
Yes. So we're getting ready for the summer. Awesome. Great. So yes, you have turned incredible challenges, for example, like being a teen mom and also a college dropout, into the foundation for building a nationally recognized institution, right? So what inner mindset shifts or habits helped you rise above those early setbacks?
Well, mine really is based off of my child. I didn't want him to live the life I had to live as a child. So he was my motivation. I could have given up. I could have just stayed on Section 8, government assistance, but I wanted more out of life, and that's what I chose to do. It could have been easier to give up, of course, and settle, but I'm not a settler.
I love that. You're not a settler, because it is one of the easiest things. Are you still there?
Okay, yes.
Right. We lost you for a second. Yeah, you said you are not a settler, because that is one of the easiest things that any human being can do. Settle for less. And you had a reason to keep going. You had a reason not to give up. And you said your reason was your child, right?
Yeah.
So, to everybody who's listening right now, please remember, like, leave a comment, and share this broadcast, because somebody will be activated today. Somebody will be activated to step into their greatness, because this is a powerful woman who turned her trials into triumph. So you will be able to learn a lot from her. So how's your child? How old is a boy or girl?
He's a boy. He is 15 years old, and he
Oh, a grown man.
yeah, pretty much. Yeah, pretty much. He decided he wanted to go ahead and finish high school early, so he just completed in February, I believe. February, he completed his high school diploma, and right
Oh,
now he's in college with Western Governor University. So
at 15?
yes, at 15. So he's going to get his he's attending for business management for his bachelor. He was able to transfer in 63 credits and already pretty much had all the credits that he needed for an associate's degree. So he's getting his bachelor's, and once he completes there, he's going to attend either Auburn University or Columbus Tech for his culinary degree.
Oh, okay, okay. But I want to believe he wasn't involved in like active sporting activities.
No. Mm-mm.
Oh, okay. Yeah, because when you said that, my head was like spinning, because I have three boys.
Hmm.
In my own time, when I was growing up, I did the same thing. I left from, early into college and things like that. But
Yes.
over here, I realized that my sons, they do sports,
Hmm.
and that takes their whole time. Even though I'm happy that they do the sports, because it's easy for us. Please, whoever is listening, don't tell them. It's easy for us to remind them, hey, if you smoke, you get in trouble. If you drink, you get out of the sport. It's easy for us, right?
Yes.
But I would have loved them to do that, but the sport is taking so much of their time. So you are lucky. It's great. It's great. Congratulations to you.
Thank you. And same to you and your kids as well.
Thank you. Thank you. Now, founding the first degree granting college in Alabama by an African American woman is historic. It is a historic achievement, right? So, what practical advice would you give to someone who feels called to do something groundbreaking but feels underqualified or unsupported?
So one is to always allow God to lead your footsteps. If
Mm.
calling for you to do something, please pick up the call. Because eventually either you're going to get there and it may take you longer, or you're going to miss out on a blessing. So the motivation I have is to just step out on faith. If you are looking for assistance and you're not able to find it, Google it, because I didn't have any assistance. Me and my assistant dean, we had to look up everything. We went through the ups and downs, some made some mistakes that were very costly sometimes, but it was worth it in the long run to get it done and get it out the way, is how I look at it. I could have decided to give up every time the door was slammed in my face when either somebody was willing to help and
Oh, we seem to have lost her again. Are you there? I guess she's having some connectivity issues with the internet. Okay, you're back. Thank God. That's
okay.
technology for you. Okay, yes.
Yeah, so what I will say is Google it, and sometimes we just have to pay for the information that's needed. And that's, I've had many mentors that I paid and it was worth it.
Right. Thank you so much for sharing. You talked about first allowing God to lead your steps. That is key. I am a person of faith. I don't do anything without seeking God's guidance, without seeking guidance from the Holy Spirit.
Yes.
And that is paramount. So allow God to lead your steps. And you talked about, starting finding resources, right? Coaches, mentors, very important.
Mm-hmm.
It could be not, it could, it will be extremely challenging for anybody with a vision to just embark on that journey without guidance, without a support system,
Absolutely.
right? So it's always very important to find yourself coaches and mentors. And sometimes we know it could not sometimes we know it's expensive to hire coaches or mentors.
Absolutely.
But what I typically encourage people to do is, if you find someone who is doing what you would like to do, or if you find someone who has gotten to the level where you see yourself, um, try as much as possible to buy their books,
That
because most of these people are in the personal development space. And when you find yourself in the personal development space, it's all about giving back,
absolutely.
right? So when they achieve that pinnacle of success, they always write books, or they have podcasts, or they have articles or social media pages. Just be obsessed with their work, you
A-
know, follow them on social media, buy their books, you know, subscribe to their YouTube or social media channels, and do all that. So mentorship is key. And I want to encourage everyone who's listening right now, if you are going through challenging times, always remember that you can change your situation. You
Absolutely.
can. Because you see a lady here, she was a teen mom. And there's so many ladies. I know there's so many ladies right now who have held themselves back because they've been through that. They feel that's the end of the world, right? But this is a lady here who is a confirmation, a testament that it's not the end of the world for you. Is that correct, Shakea?
It is. That is correct. I, there's people that had their children much younger than I had my son at 19, but we still go through different trials and tribulations. Life would be more easier and smoother if you didn't have a child to take care of and to look after. Sometimes we as parents have to put our dreams to the side because of the choices we've made to have children, and sometimes not made, just depending on the person's situation. But it's okay to just start later versus not starting at all.
I love that. It's better late than never. It's better late than never. Write that down wherever you are. If you are stuck, if you are thinking you're too old, if you're thinking you're too young, if you are thinking you're not good enough to start something, look, you have greatness within you. We all have greatness within us. It's just for us to step out in faith, like she earlier said. All
Yeah.
right. We all have the key. We all have what it takes to transition from where we are to where we want to be. Thank you so much for sharing that with me. And I have another question I want to ask you.
Yeah.
I know you have received numerous honors and leadership roles, including at the NAACP. And now you're going back to law school, which is another huge responsibility,
Yes.
right? And despite all this, you stay grounded and looking forward to growth. So how do you intend? What strategy do you use to stay grounded? And what strategies do you encourage others to use to grow personally when the world sees you as someone who's already so successful, and you still want to go back to all this? What strategy would you apply to stay grounded?
Well, dedication. I'm a very dedicated person. What I do is whatever I put my mind to, I stick to it and I try to see it through. Of course, sometimes it'll work out, sometimes it doesn't. But I have a great support system. My husband helps me tremendously. So having a good support system is key. If you're not married, even if you have a group of friends or associates that you can kind of look to, that is my main thing. Just having a good backbone of people in my circle. And then, like I mentioned earlier, my assistant dean, she's been with me for 8 years, 8 years. So having good people that's willing to go the road with you, go along that road with you, that is needed. You know, you can do a lot of things by yourself, but how far can you get just by yourself? And I'm not saying that you can't, because I've seen people do it, but it's much easier when you have good people on your side. And of course, keeping God first. He is the number one reason where I am today.
Amen. Amen. Thank you so much for sharing. So, yes, and you just confirmed that embarking on the journey of our life purpose without having the right people, the right support system,
Yes.
will do us no good.
Mm-mm.
Sometimes it could be challenging to find the right support system. Is that correct?
Yes, I've been there.
Yes, yes. So, and you having somebody for that long, that speaks a lot about you, your personality, and that you are one who believes in building relationships.
Yeah,
So, yeah, she has encouraged us to hang around positive minds, people who would build us, people who would, people who buy into our vision and are willing to support us. Now, support has to be reciprocal because when people are supporting you, they expect that they at some point need to as well grow. So
hmm,
when you have the support system, don't just be that person who takes and takes and takes and takes without giving back. Because
exactly.
if it's not reciprocal, it will die naturally.
Yes,
All right. So as we embark on our journey to greatness, let's always remember that it's not all about what we can get from people, but we should focus more on how we can be of value to others. Being of value means we should be able to collaborate. Right now, you're going back to law school. You definitely would have a study group. You certainly would have, make new friends, people who would benefit from your wisdom and your knowledge, and those you will benefit from to make sure you're not behind with
ab-
your classwork. Is that correct?
yes. And I'm actually gonna step down from being the dean here, and I'm going to promote my assistant dean, and she'll take my spot so that I can focus on law school.
Oh, okay, great, 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 great. So, do you mind telling us a bit about the aspiration behind you going back to law school? You want to become president of the United States? I know it's very possible, but is that part of it?
So when I was younger, I actually wanted to be a doctor. So that was my goal. So I ended up moving to New Jersey, going to Rutgers, and then I came down and decided I wanted to have a baby, apparently. So even though I didn't become a medical doctor, I now have doctors that work for me. I went into the medical field as a CNA back in 2009. Then I went back to that same trade school and became a phlebotomist and a clinical medical assistant. So my goal has always to be in the medical field to help. But even though I'm not a doctor, I'm still able to do the things that I want to do, even if it's not my physical hands on it, but my brain is on it. So I have the doctors that I need in my corner to get things done that I want to get done in my community. So that's pretty much my inspiration. I've always wanted to be a doctor. So me opening a medical trade school fit right into that. I initially was working at a as a car saleswoman, and I saved up my money to open up a business. I opened up my staffing agency. We started staffing in the medical field, and one of the doctors asked had I ever thought about opening a clinic that I can pretty much just do um, physicals, drug tests, alcohol tests, those things. So that's how I got my foot in the door into the medical field. So I opened my very first clinic in LaGrange, Georgia, and then my second was in Columbus, Georgia, and then we added weight loss to that. And after that, we were still staffing and wasn't able to keep up with the demand of the LPNs, the CMAs. And what I decided to do, I was like, well, I can teach phlebotomy and I can teach CMA because I'm already certified in those things. Started doing the research, and they stated how much it was going to cost for us to open just those, a school for just those two programs. And the amount they was going to call, charge us was the same amount that we could do a whole bigger, university or college at. So that's what we did. We opened up a whole school, and we started with 7 trades and ended up with now 52 trades.
Wow, that's fantastic. That's a very interesting story right there.
Yes.
And you're living a life of purpose. That's what's happening.
Yes.
From a teen mom to a college dropout, now to a doctor, to owning a college, owning a school. That's a dream come true.
Yes.
Because it's all about empowering others.
Absolutely.
Yeah, so massive congratulations to you. That story resonates with me a lot because your story is kind of similar to mine.
Okay.
But um, but it is the work of God. It is the work of God. So appreciate all you do, and having the right support system is
Yes.
key. You have a husband, you have children. How many children do you have now? Just one?
Just one.
Okay,
Hmm.
you have a husband, you have a child, a grown man. He's a grown man now. You know,
Pretty.
you have your work team. That is a blessing. Now, I want you to before I let you go,
Mhm.
I know there's somebody out there right now. It could be a lady, it could be a man who is stuck with what they consider as a mistake they made in their past. Because I have been there. Sometimes, if you don't have God on your side, it could be very hard to get out of that position. I was once a college dropout too. Um, but because of the foundational values instilled in me by my parents, I made up my mind that I was going to go back to school. I went back, I started all over. I was studying mechanical engineering. I was already in my fourth year. I had only 1 year to go. I dropped out in my fourth year. But because of the foundational values instilled in me by my parents, I went back to school. I started computer science from 100 level, and I graduated from computer science, got my master's, got my PhD, and now I also own a school. You know, so it takes a certain kind of mindset to get out of that position of failure
Mm-hmm.
and turn that failure into triumph. So I know there's somebody who's listening right now. So what would you just help me encourage or inspire that man or that woman who's listening so that they can take action?
Well, first, I would say that you cannot focus on what happened in the past. You can't change what happened in the past. You can only change what can happen currently, in your present, and in your future. Looking back won't get you forward. So that's the first thing, because that can be discouraging because you're always looking back at the mistakes you made. Let's fix those mistakes by moving forward and doing the things that you want to do in your present. The next thing is finding a good support system. That support system is major when you're trying to get somewhere that is worth getting, if in the right direction, I rather say. Because sometimes we can get people we think got our best interests at heart, and they put us 20 steps back from the steps that we've already made. The next thing is determination. Do one thing at a time. Get you a notebook, write it down from 1 to 10. If it's 10 things that you want to do or accomplish, write it down on a piece of paper, put it in order on how you want to complete those things. Do one thing at a time. And if you get to a point where you think that you can do multiple things at a time, then you add that additional thing on there. But make sure that it sits in the same, I guess I would say, sit in the same department that you're already in. So if, say for instance, you decide you want to go back to school, you go back to school, but then you working as well. So make sure you have the time to do both. So priority would always be work if you know you have bills to pay, but make sure you're making time, scheduling out coursework when you're going to study. Sometimes we have to do the coursework and we can't go out to the parties, or all the different things that we want to do. So prioritize what is important to you. First come to whatever is important to you, then all the other hobbies and other things can come after. So I would say prioritizing your life would be my advice.
Wow, I love that. Thank you so much for sharing. I'll just touch on the few points that you dropped. So to everybody who's listening, if you find yourself stuck, she just encouraged us that we cannot change. That's a great reminder. We cannot change our past. So you who's listening, you cannot. Don't even think about, don't bother. Because if you try to stay in your past, you know what will happen? It would lead to depression. Honestly, like, you see, when you hear about depression, the easiest way to fall into depression is focusing on your past, dwelling on your past, spending time thinking about your past. Don't do that. It's the easiest way to land you in depression. And she talked about doing one thing at a time, which means it's very important for you to write down your plans, your goals, right? There is a quote I always like to share. It's a quote by Greg Reed, and it says, "A dream written down with timelines becomes a goal. A goal broken down into little steps becomes a plan. And a plan backed with action makes your dreams come through." So, which means if you have those goals, those things in your head, they are not goals yet, they're just ideas, they're just thoughts. The only thing that can convert them to goals will be when you write them down. Write them down clearly. She just gave you a breakdown. If you need to go to school, write it down. Or I'll start with registration process, or I'll search for schools. I'll, pick anyone that comes. I'll study this. Write it down. It has to align with where you're going. And sometimes when you write it down, it might look like it's a lot, but don't worry. Don't worry. She said, take it one thing at a time, one task at a time. If you're not able to complete them within the period of time you set for yourself, it's okay to move it forward. That's what we call a carryover. But never lose sight of the goals. Never, ever. And thank you so much, Shakea, for reminding us about that. Proper time management. Proper time management. Make sure you're able to touch on all areas of your goals. Like for me, what I do weekly, I have my spiritual goals, I have my health goals, I have my family goals, I have my economic goals, I have my social goals, and I have my charity goals. I know I would not be able to meet up with those goals on a daily basis. It's not realistic for me. But what I do is I make sure every week by Sunday or by Saturday of the week, I should be able to say, okay, I went to church this week. I went to, the gym maybe 2 or 3 days a week. I worked on my business for certain hours. I did some charity work. It has to be weekly for me. That's what I do. I'm sharing this with everybody now, so you can do that. Your goals, you don't have to make sure you knock it off the same day. You can set weekly goals, bi-weekly goals, or monthly goals. It's okay. Proper time management. Thank you so much, Shakea, for sharing all those beautiful tips with us. And I hope when next I invite you, you would be willing to come back to share some words of wisdom with
Absolutely. Thank you so much for having me.
It's a pleasure and a privilege. And I want you to keep doing what you do, okay?
Thank you.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, remember, leave a comment, and share this broadcast. If you have been impacted one way or the other, please feel free to leave a comment. Let us know how we were able to impact you. So if you can see my messages, if you have been able to listen to my podcast, it doesn't matter if it's this one or a podcast in the past. Here's the good news about that, being able to see my posts or listen to my podcast. The good news is you who's listening, you are automatically a member of the Morale Booster Empire. Yes. So I would say welcome to the Morale Booster Empire. So in the Morale Booster Empire, we turn challenges into stepping stones, and we find strength in every struggle. That's what this podcast. So no matter how bad you think your situation is, know this right now, that your current situation, yes, your current situation, no matter how bad you think it is someone else's prayer point. Let that sink. Let's intentionally focus on lifting each other by sharing daily motivational and inspirational quotes, by sharing this podcast out as well. All right. You can tag me. If you're watching the replay, feel free to write hashtag replay. So thank you once again for being a part of this. And together we can spread positivity. Remember, today is the first day of the rest of your life. Stay blessed, everybody, and bye for now. Thank you, Shakea. Bye.